And we are live here on Plus One EXP with that new intro music, straight from that hot LA scene.
Mhm.
We are here for another episode of Procedures at Play, a show where we sit down with a creator to talk a little bit about the central mechanics that drive forward the themes of their game. Today we're sitting down with one of my favorite creators and favorite people. That's Mike Martens. We're going to talk about a game called Tourist Hole. And I'm super excited to have Mike on. Uh, this is a game that I have been excited about since Mike and Wes told me about it. Wes, our Zine Fiend, was one of the first people to get to play this game. And I've been thrilled to look at the different ways that Mike has developed it. But the reason I get so jazzed about this game particularly is I think this is a game that could theoretically bring people who like board games and people who like LARP and people who like TTRPGs together, and I'll be like, we all like this game because there are a whole lot of elements in play here that make that happen. When I say there's a whole lot of elements, what I mean is the central mechanic and the narrative structure of this game are appealing to all of those different type of people, and it's incredibly simple and easy to onboard people too. I think so. I'm super excited to dive into that. I'm super excited to have Mike on. But Mike, as I've stumbled through talking about your game a little bit, why don't you tell people a little bit more about who you are, what you do, and tell us about the tourist hole.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mike Martens. I am a currently unemployed UX copywriter and game designer. You might recognize me from The Wassailing of Kloss Manor, which I worked on with Michael Van Vliet and Brian Sago. We won an Emmy for that. Judges Spotlight, very exciting. Also have written for Trophy, and did the Trophy kind of spin-off alternate reality Sunken, and then a number of other things that are floating around there that I've written for, and just a lot of projects that are in the mill, working on getting churned out. And this is one of the first ones. I'm always running little alpha tests, little play tests on the side of some of my weird ideas. And last year, leading into Zine Quest, had asked a group of fellow designers and players that I run stuff with and for and create stuff with, what I should bring to the public. And the unanimous vote was Tourist Hole. So that's what we all have in the world now, is Tourist Hole.
Which is a game about.
Oh, it is a game of existential spookies and roadside attractions. It is about going on a road trip and losing yourself in order to find yourself.
Love it.
The origin of the game, to kind of tie into what you were saying of bringing board game people, LARPers, and TTRPG people, it's also looking beyond that too, of just like those friends that you have that do not care about TTRPGs, especially in any way. I don't think this makes it easier necessarily for them to get into your big fantasy board games, or your weird, spooky urban fantasies, or urban horror, or whatever the case is. But I think it allows you to have a fun time, as Tony is saying, with those folks. It came across, we were on a road trip to House on the Rock, which is one of my favorite locations on this planet, one of the weirdest locations on this planet. If I start talking about it, we'll be here for the next 3 hours, as everyone around me knows. But we were in a house, and a bunch of other designers who, the invitation was open. Anytime anybody wants to visit House on the Rock, I will go. I will fly out to Wisconsin and give you the tour, as maybe the person who knows the most about it outside of anyone who works there. Anyway, we don't need to go into that whole, that particular hole. But yeah, we were sitting around, and this is a bunch of game designers, a bunch of people who make games, like games. And after a night of, or after a day of just running our brains dry at Circus World or House on the Rock or whatever else is going on in Wisconsin, we'd want to play a game, but we'd sit and we'd say like, oh, we're gonna be in for 3 hours. Does anybody know how to run this game faster? Like, can you get it in like within two? Like an hour and a half would be perfect. I'm kind of tired. I might even duck out at an hour. You run into those situations where it's like you really want to play something like this. And so we were sitting around a campfire the night after, and I was just like, there should be more games like that where they are kind of, I use the phrase shape of water, where the shape of water is whatever the container is that it has. So what's a game that I can play with any number of players with any kind of background in any amount of time is kind of the goal. So we say 45 minutes is the shortest for Tourist Hole. It can be run shorter than that for what it's worth. And you can play, potentially you could play as one person. You could play, I don't know, the number goes up as far as you would want it to go.
We're going to find out at PAX how many people we can run it with. Like, I do want to try to, like, Wes created a casual party that was supposed to be like small, intimate with friends, sent it out, and 15 minutes later, there were like 70 people who had been like, I want to come, because people had shared it with their friends, shared it with. So, like, I am going to use that as an opportunity to try to run Tourist Hole at PAX for as many people as I can get to play at the same time.
Fun.
Just FYI.
There are, for what it's worth as well, there are multiple modes of the game. There's alternative rules. Once you like step into the Tourist Hole, like you are entering a whole other universe where this place and this game just exist, and have people who play it, have people who experience it. It's kind of, the book isn't really like clear or apparent about that, but it's kind of an alternate. It's existing within its own reality, and the very first rule is that you have to accept that reality exists. And that's really all we say about it in there.
Just a couple little things. Yeah, we're gonna dive deeper into a lot of those different pieces. But I want to start with, like, I really love and we have another workshop you and I have talked about doing on stream. We've talked a lot about, like, you've provided a lot of great support for people looking at visual design, user interface, user experience specifically, and thinking about layout in very different ways. It is one of the things I love about the hallmark of your style. We've talked about having you on for the future to talk about, like, thinking about layout from the time you're writing a game, or from the time you're doing a game, and not just layout, but like, what is the user experience of approaching the game? And I love that this one was approached really by like the user experience issue that you were encountering when y'all were sitting around that campfire of, okay, who is going to run it, right? Is anybody ready for it? Can we go fast enough? Like, we want to play something, but we really just want to enter into a state of play. And I do think, like, the more you nail down rules and the more you nail down, like, you don't leave the flexibility for just saying, hey, we've got 15 minutes and a concept, let's play with it. And I think there are designers who are really great at this, but I think lots of times the temptation is to codify those away. Your approach to designing, while it includes the basics of some of that, is a lot lighter than other people's. You're really guiding them into an experience. I want to kick us over to the book really quickly. If people are not familiar with Mike's visual design style, I think Tourist Hole, like, is a really well refined articulation of your overall visual design ethos. Like, I think everything you do has a lot of you in it, but this is stripped down and much more minimalist, and much, like, there is heavy theme, but you're not making that pop up in the text. Like, I even remember when you were asking me for feedback, I was like, more, give me more. And then there ended up being a lot more, but because of that. But like, I just want to take a second to give people just a sense of the visual design, a sense of some of the way you're doing it. I was reading through it again in preparation for, like, our conversation. And it is like, there is a high level of poetry and articulation and love letter to experiences with friends and family, and a lot of tender things that come up in the text. I do just want to, like, read this first page. It's going to be small on the screen. I'm going to have to lean over in order to do it. But it says, "Greetings. I won't tell you much about what this game is about. Most of that will be revealed as you play. But it's about a hole underneath you waiting for supper. A hole that's waiting no matter how much you build over it, no matter how far you go. No, that hole is not death. And it's a silly game where you'll laugh and make up weird stories and roll dice, or maybe not, and lose perhaps yourself. It's fine and good to lose in the Tourist Hole. Some say it's the only real way to find yourself." And then we just scroll down to this creepy skeleton hanging over a family as they're traveling. Like, I do think like you and I, like, you know that I am such a text maximalist. Like I'm such an OSR designer. I don't leave margins. I know it drives you absolutely nuts every single time you see a page that I had somebody do layout on in the style that I like. And but I also love looking at your work. Like I love the intentionality in the small things. And then this one, I feel like there is like the Wassailing has a lot of language in it, both from you and Mike and other like contributors. Like it's very verbose and it has a certain tone and language that it's written in. This is so much lighter. Like every page leading into it, because of the lightness of it, like feels like poetry, right? Like facts. Um, Everyone who plays the tourist hole must believe in the following facts for the duration of the game. One, all roadside attractions are connected and are part of the tourist hole. Two, the tourist hole is tourists are blissfully unaware of fact one, even when they witness it firsthand. Three, all who wander are lost. You may believe whatever you want outside of the game. Like it is just setting like very clearly, here are the stakes of the game. Like this page and the page before it, even if I don't know rules, I know what this game is about. You're piecemealing me into it bit by bit, and every piece of language is feels intentional and feels like it's leading me into the next little bit, right? But there's humor and there's whimsy and but there's also like depth and reflection on death and this horrific things. Like all these things are kind of brought together in a really cool way, and you're just hitting that tone straight off the bat, right? And I think we start to see, like, even without you saying like, here's my cats, or here's like an RPG is blah 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 blah. Like you're abandoning
Yeah.
all of that, but you're still doing the essential part of it. And I think your lens on how you approach games is really distinctive because of your background and how you kind of like talk about liking to layer meaning. And when I hear you talk about saying you like to layer meaning in things, when we've talked about it before, like it is not just in the text. Like the text is going to have layers of meaning, but it's going to be the visual design, the play style, like all those things are going to have different layers and ways they're able to do it. So I just want to be like, these are the reasons I am excited to sit down and talk with you about Tourist Hole, because it is such a pure articulation of play. And I think that a lot of people feel like the way that a lot of people talk about play is entirely codified by rules. And this shape of water approach that you have here gives us enough rules to play a game while leaving so much freedom to do just almost pure play if we want to. I think it's really beautiful. Really excited to dive in. If you're out watching and you have questions about Tourist Hole, feel free, let us know. Trash, so good to see you also too. Really glad to have you here in the chat with us. Been a while, but we are back to streaming, and I know you've been one of our regulars historically. Really good to see you here also too. I am going to drop a link to the Tourist Hole, so if people want to go check it out, they are able to. We've got a bunch of other great new titles over on the site that are going to be going out also too. But Tourist Hole is also on sale right now for about $5 less than it will be going forward. So it's $25. And you might think that sounds like a lot for a Zine Quest project. Mike, do you want to hold up your copy of Tourist Hole so people can see how thick and chunky this thing ended up being?
Yeah, it's big. It's a nice book. You can see I've cut some things out of it. It's a book that's designed that you're supposed to take scissors to it or a paper cutter or whatever and do some things. But yeah, it is still very much, I think, in the zine spirit and the zine ethos, but we were trying to pack in so much stuff. And I think to your point, Tony, the UX, there was a big UX question here on how one of the mechanics works, and I was struggling to solve that in a way that could contain within the confines of a 40-page zine. And so just blew up the scope in order to deliver a smoother experience in this form.
Yeah, like I said, I absolutely love it. It is gorgeous, and I always tell people like you should get Mike's games because they're good, and because both Mike and I make money most of the time when you do. But you should also do it because they are excellent lessons in a lot of aspects of design that you can easily unpack as you're going through them. I think they teach us a lot about a lot of different things, and again, we're just gonna dive into that. So
Mhm.
like we've talked a little bit about kind of some of the themes at play, right? There are these tourist attractions, there are these big goals, there is this sense of like journeying and whimsy and other things like that. But like let's hone in a little bit more on like the themes that like if somebody sits down to play a game of tourist hole, right? And we can pick an example if we want to, if you want to walk through it a little bit. But like what are the themes that you're inviting people to explore very specifically in the type of stories you want them to tell?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I think this is like this might be the most that I will ever say about this game and what it's exploring, because I do think you mentioned that I like to layer a lot of things in at multiple levels and that kind of thing. Um, and so I'm going to say things, and it's kind of what it's about, and it's kind of not what it's about. It's why I don't like talking about what it's actually about. But I it's at its heart, it's about road trips. And if you think about, imagine yourself, let's play a little role playing game right now. Imagine yourself, and you are, maybe you just pop this stream on your iPhone and you go and hop in your car and you are going on a road trip. Why are you going on that road trip? What are you trying to find? Where are you going? You don't always know, right? Like, kind of, you maybe have a final destination of like, I'm going to take a road trip to Denver. I'm going to go to Miami. I wanted to do a cross country road trip, and you go. And there's this like very like classic. There's a lot of like mid-century vibes. It's very much that pulling from that era of going and stopping and just being on the road and kind of being isolated while still being, you're on a highway with hundreds if not thousands of other people all along you, but you are alone and you are on a journey where you're not sure what you're going to find. This has changed in the era of GPS, so on and so forth. I won't go too far into it. And every once in a while, you need to make a stop, right? You see something that's fascinating, that's curious, and you go there. And those places, I think a lot about American Gods, and there's that whole idea in American Gods, or to go back to House on the Rock to some degree, of like there are places that are just like imbued with power or obsession, or they create an obsession that people want to create, and they want to make something that attracts people to that spot. And when you go there, there are places, if you are willing to just stop at random points along your journey, wherever you are going to find things that feel like they're from another universe, that feel like they are diving right into someone's brain. You are being asked to pay money or to buy souvenirs from it, but they're strange places where uh, you get a little bit lost and inside someone else's brain. It's kind of the experience. It's why I like taking people to House on the Rock, is that it's kind of I love to watch when people crack at that. Like there is a point where everyone cracks at House on the Rock. Like you just can't take it anymore. You can't remember ever not being there. Um, and so this is about that. It's about that moment of like, of just cracking, like your reality cracking, kind of losing sight of where you are, what you're doing, where you're going, and in that process, finding yourself. Both finding a way out, an escape, and a remembrance of this time that you have had, as well as finding a little bit about yourself and who you are, maybe the diversity of this country, of the world at large, and all of the odd perspectives that are there, the things that are outside of the norm. It's about finding connection and being isolated at the same time. It is about, yeah, a lot of different things. But I think it's, like I say, it's a game of existential spookies.
Yeah, I
It's
love it.
about the stuff that scares us about finding ourselves.
Yeah.
That said, I want to be clear, like it's also just a fun and silly road trip game, or bar game. And I think that's what makes it weird. That's what makes it a little bit of an experiment, is I'm hoping to capture a lot of that deeper stuff, that existentialist stuff that you're going through on a long road trip, while you're just having fun with friends and hanging out and telling weird little stories.
I want to know from you in a second. do you remember where you were at in the House on the Rock the first time you cracked? But I also want chat. I want chat to think about, like, have you had this experience, right? Like Trash already threw out like driving. This feels like driving across southern New Mexico. Like I've been at
Mm.
those roadside stands in southern New Mexico. Like I know what that's like. I've stopped at Joshua. Like I get those vibes immediately. Like but yeah, I would love to hear from people if you've had a moment where you've gone to a roadside attraction, or and I would say this happens anytime we experience those moments of like imminence and transcendence. I would love to hear from chat if you have a moment where you have experienced that kind of cracking. But like for you, Mike, do you remember the first time or one of the first times or a moment you had at House on the Rock where it was like that moment of like of cracking for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna rewind. Our family used to take trips out to the middle of South Dakota to the Black Hills, the Badlands, and so we would make the Wall Drug stop. And I think at a young age, my brain was probably cracked a couple times at Wall Drug. But at House on the Rock, I think, like this is where I start getting into all the wild stories. I was going because I read an article that cracked my brain, and that is that there is a statue of a whale-like creature being attacked by a squid-like creature that's as tall as the Statue of Liberty is high, and it is underground at the House on the Rock. It is just there, and you walk around it, and I was just like, "What the?"
Yeah.
and wanted to see that. There are automated music machines that some of them are real and some of them are made to look like they're real. And you put in little tokens, and the machines, these whole vignettes of all of these instruments just start making this cacophony of noise. And there is a hallway, it's kind of like a twisting corridor that you're going through, and there's at least 8 of these like big dioramas, as well as like all kinds of like smaller things as well. And as you're walking through, everyone is putting their tokens into these machines, and you just hear all of this music that is discordant. The instruments are not necessarily like playing exactly to the beat. It is wild, the soundscape that you enter and how overpowering it is. And that's kind of a point where, at that point in the tour, it's the point of no return in some ways. You are not going to see daylight for another hour and a half from that point as you start moving through the corridors of the facility. But that's the point where I cracked the first time. I did not last very long.
Mm.
But it's fun. I've had friends who have lasted a pretty long time,
So
but
yeah, not
they
alone
always do
throughout.
crack.
The whale started the cracks. Octopus Garden on repeat shattered me. Um, oh, is my computer screen going to stop working suddenly? Great. The Levi Phipps says not quite a roadside attraction, but Bishop Castle was kind of unmooring for a while. Tundra Fundra says I'm scared to Google House on the Rock now. You should not be scared to Google it. Googling it is very interesting and is going to make you want to go. It is not unmooring. Signal Station driving to the Salton Sea. I hit the brakes hard to pull into the International Banana Museum. By sheer chance, a guy with a banana-shaped car was visiting at the same time. Cave of the Winds is a bit more mainstream, says Levi, but hey, caves. Yeah, I mean, I think these moments of imminence and transcendence, like regardless of where we encounter them, and it's a little bit core to a lot of the religious experience that people have. But again, like you were saying, like this is within just the pure reality of a place that someone has chosen. I will build a thing here, or I will let people come to a thing I have found that I have built something around to make sure they
Mhm.
have to pay me admission in order to get into it. Uh, like it is regardless of religious background, I think one of the most transcendent and spiritual things about the US. And it is a really interesting phenomenon. And I don't know another game that really taps into it and in this kind of way. So like I think it's a really beautiful thing. That's why I wanted to like make sure we landed and hit on that. But let's talk a little bit about the mechanics, because I already
Yeah.
kind of alluded to this and you have talked a little bit about it. They are deceptively simple in the ability to understand them, while incredibly wide, and how they drive play. Because what we really want to do here is talk about what is the interplay between those, that story we want to tell, that mode we want to invite people into, and the mechanics. Now, I will say there are at least two modes of play that are outlined in the book. More to be discovered as people continue to play the game. Um, let's talk a little bit about the one that is mechanical first, and then we can pivot over to a little bit more of the free form version of that as is kind of that pure narrative play. So tell us a little bit about bar mode, and kind of
Yeah.
what drives that.
Bar mode is driven primarily by a bar dice game. Ship Captain Crew is sort of a classic bar dice game. I lived for a long time in Milwaukee, and if you go into dive bars in Milwaukee, you hear rattle, 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 thump pretty constantly at the bar as people play games of Ship Captain Crew, other bar dice games. The I've always really loved that game. There's a certain narrative to it. You can tell from the name Ship Captain Crew. It's about kind of like pulling together a nautical shipping vessel, that you first need to get your ship, then you need to get a captain for that ship, then you need to find a crew for that ship, and then with whatever roles you have left, you're assembling whatever cargo you are taking, and the value of that cargo. But there's not much narrative attached to it. It's not asking for much narrative, but it is telling a story, and that always fascinated me. I'm always really interested in mechanics that tell a story in and of themselves. So an example would be Sunken is drawing from the dice mechanics of Trophy, where you have light dice and you have dark dice, and those are kind of telling the story of the lightness within you versus the darkness within you. I found that really fascinating. I decided to add another layer to it. And so in Sunken, it is your mortality. Sunken is a nautical horror game. Maybe this is a tie-in with why I got interested with Ship Captain Crew, is some kind of nautical obsession, whatever the case is. But there's sort of your mortality, the flesh. There's the deep, which is representing the sea and your obsession with just being on the water and the sort of like mysteriousness of the sea. And then the heavens, which is representing your faith. And every roll that you make that involves those dice, every individual die or those sections of dice are telling a story about your psychological state. And that's separate from the sort of like almost the mechanical narrative that you're going through of like, I am going to go below deck and I'm going to run away from this monster. And now I'm going to roll dice to figure out a little bit more how I feel about it, as well as what the result is. So something that I was really interested in is trying to figure out how to generate that emergent narrative out of Ship Captain Crew. So should I flip over? Should we dig into the actual
We can
how that game
let
is
me
played?
clear that real quick, and you are good to flip over whenever you're ready.
Woo! Okay, so Ship Captain Crew is a pretty simple game where you are rolling 5 dice and you get 3 times to roll them. You roll them your first time and you're looking for, oh, look at this. This is a
Look, you did
fantastic
such a
roll.
good job. You're
Amazing.
you're showing how easy this game is every single
Look at
time
how
you play.
easy this game is. We've already escaped. So we've got our ship, which is a 6. We've got our captain, which is a 5. We've got our crew, which is a 4. And then our cargo is the remainder, which in this case is a 2 and a 5. So it's a 7. If we didn't get a 6, we would have to roll all of this. We have to get them in that order.
Yeah, so you have to get a 6, then you have to get a 5, then you have to get a 4, and then whatever's left you've got, right? Like so.
Exactly. So in Tourist Hole, what I ended up deciding in thinking about it, again, like think about the origin of this game, is that I'm sitting around and I'm just like, I want to make a fast game. There's this mechanic that I've been obsessed with. Let me tie it into where we are. We're at roadside attractions. We're doing tourist traps. Let's figure out how to do this. And so I thought about the idea of the journey, and as opposed to embark on your journey, you are preparing to escape. Like these are literal tourist traps that have pulled you in and you are trying to escape. So in this case, it is the your ability to grasp what is going on is your 6. Your ability to oh my gosh, grasp, bend, break. So
You got it right.
there we go. The 5 is what about the setting makes you start to bend that reality and you feel like you've got a little bit more control over it. And then the 4 is when you break the hold of the tourist trap on you. So you're trying to get those 3 things in order. You do a little narrative of what that actually is. And then the final piece is actually a 2-part piece. And that when you first start playing, I exposed this, but someone is going to roll 2 dice and put them under a cup. We have no idea what those dice are, but that's what's called the cost of the stop. So in this case, I rolled a 6. So without knowing, we just know that there's 2 numbers that we are trying to hit with whatever we call this the sense, which is a pun or play on words, of how much sense are you leaving, how much money / how much, yeah, I don't need to explain the joke. I'm doing
You get sense and sense, folks. We got
it. Yes, we're there. And so you have to kind of determine based on, you get up to 3 rolls, you earn rolls by answering prompts, describing what is inside of the stop. And those are given to you via a little card mechanic. You get these cards that you can cut out of the book, and then they've got little prompts on them, and you just answer those prompts. And each time you answer a prompt, you get to roll the dice. And you're trying to slowly, over the course of 3 discoveries, improve your hand of dice. And hopefully, whatever this number is more than the cost. And if it is, then your tourist survives, gets to buy a souvenir, and move on to the next stop. If not, then you are lost in the hole forever, and you get to send 1 postcard home. So you describe the postcard that you send home, and then you come up with a new tourist and move on to the next round if you play another round.
I love it. And again, I think people can it's like Andrew has already talked about, like, I'm obsessed. Everybody's also accusing you of cheating also too, just so you know.
Oh my gosh, no.
On your 654, the like, I think people can see like why this plays so fast and why this can be so compelling and how this can be so much fun. Like in the chat right now, like there's a really strong. Oh, I'll move you off double picture. Here we go. Hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. It doesn't. It is. You seeing your beautiful face twice is totally fine. I don't think anybody's upset. But yeah, I think people can kind of immediately see like why, like how this can be quick and compelling, because again, even just drawing on this, like this bar game vibe, right? This thing that you might stop at and see people playing on the side of the road as you drive down, that has this subtle narrative kind of built in, but that you're really taking and moving in an entirely different direction. Like the handholds on this have a lot of different ways that people might have engaged with the mechanics and the themes and other things before, and it is really kind of amazing to see like how quickly just people watching you explain it are like, cool, I'm in. How do I do this, right? Like so normally, like, I'd also be like, oh, well, that's really cool, let's talk about an example of play. But here's what I think is great: this game plays fast enough, we don't have to talk about an example of play. We can just play a little bit if you want to. Do you want to do a little?
Yeah,
you want to do a little round?
Let's do it.
Because I think
one other thing that I want to highlight really quick.
Yeah.
When we're talking about accessibility and kind of the design of the game for multiple people, I shouldn't have done it this way. I'm just going to put it on the table. There are 2 prompts for every card. And one of the things that I was thinking a lot about is there are the people who are really into story games and will give you deep, thoughtful, and not that the other ones are not thoughtful, but like deep existential, like pondering and meandering narratives. And then there's people who are not comfortable with that. So every card has 2 prompts with it. One is a solid prompt and what is called a liquid prompt. The solid prompt is for those players who are maybe not as comfortable in telling like a big, deep narrative. They're looking for more concrete answers, physical objects, that kind of thing, where the liquid prompts are kind of digging into more of your character's response to the surrounding, like your character's backstory, all of that kind of thing. So people can kind of pick and choose. Like if you're just not feeling it at a particular moment, you can grab a solid prompt. If you want to experiment going into a deeper meditative state, exploration of your particular tourist that you're playing, then you grab a liquid prompt.
Yeah, I love it. And like you can play as yourself. Like you can make up a character, or you can be like, it's me. I'm doing this, right? Like we're on a road trip. And so I mean, like the ease of being like, you don't need a character. You're on a road trip. What like here's what we're doing. Let's is an easy thing to hop in and play, or to be like, hey, here's my character. Like like I wanna here's what they're going through, and build out those pieces also too. So like again, really great kind of flexibility in how little onboarding you need to do some of this. But yeah, so let's do a little example of play, but also because of that, like let's talk about how I accidentally encouraged you to turn this book into one that was 4 times as long as the original book, and that's that the entire time I was like pushing you, because I love, like, you do such a great job in visual layout. You want to flip the camera back up real quick?
Oh yeah,
In
yeah.
just in like cursed Americana vibes. Like Butter Princess is one of my favorite games that you did the layout on. Like Brian's writing is absolutely tremendous, but the visuals that you bring to that game are amazing and resonant in a lot of ways, I think, with the tourist whole layout. And I was like, yeah, give me more. And I was like, oh, I was hoping you to do some like classic Mike Martens like treatments for each of the different tourist stops. And then apparently you did, and you were like, damn it, Tony, I'm amazing and talented, and I'm gonna make all these different stops that you and other people wrote, like create just different weird art and prompts and other stuff with them. So I would say more than 50% of the book is locations. Like it's probably close to 2/3 of the book are locations, different things written by different amazing creators that we love. Each comes with a set of cards you can cut out. It also comes with the digitals if you don't want to cut your books. It's okay. And you have done just gorgeous, like weird cursed Americana art for each one of them, and they just absolutely bleed. So like it's gorgeous. I love it. Do you have a favorite one that you wanna explore?
The one that I'm going to suggest that we explore, because I've cut those cards out,
Excellent
is
choice.
Invasion Ground Zero. Tony, are you going to be our tourist for this?
I'll be our tourist for this.
I mean, we could both be tourists, but in the sake of speed. So when you are creating a character, it is very simple. It is very quick. I just need to know, what is your shirt, what is your shoes, and how long has it been since your cell phone has had service?
Oh, I think my shirt is it is not a deep V, but it's a V-neck. It's obviously an undershirt. I have a jean jacket tied around my waist, and it is pitted with sweat and dust. And my shoes are hiking boots that are pretty well worn at this point in time. We'll make them light brown, almost the same color as the sand in the area also too. And then my cell phone has not had service. I think it's been a couple of days. I think it's been
Oh,
a couple of
wow.
days since my cell phone has had service. Now, whether or not there is service available, I don't know, because my cell phone has just lost power for the last couple of days,
That's fair.
and I've not found a place to charge it recently.
Love it. Perfect. That is, you've created a character. I'm just going to put all the pressure on you. Is that okay?
That's fine. Yeah.
All right. Invasion Ground Zero. You came across this brochure. So normally the way this would work is just somebody in your group would read this and kind of just be the moderator for that particular round. There's not a lot of work here. But you found this brochure. Here's the location that you've pulled over to visit. It is called Invasion: Ground Zero. We have collected all evidence of alien existence outside of military compounds into a single location, which is now open to the public for the first time. Secrets of space, some governments do not want you to know, have been accumulated here for young and old and Martian alike. Now open, a full restoration of the Roswell UFO, pilotable in our 5-dimension extraterrestrial vision experience. Learn of many alien visitor species and technologies so you can survive the invasion that's already started. Visit while you can. This is information many consider too dangerous for the average citizen. But we want to believe in you. So all of the pamphlets are just short little descriptions like that are pulled out of the are inspired by these actual pamphlets and brochures. You could play with actual pamphlets and brochures if you wanted, but in the case of bar mode, we've got it this way. I'm going to flip over to the dice screen here, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Tony, I'm going to let you choose as opposed to just randomly. Oh, God. Are any of these jumping out to you?
I can see food past slime, and I cannot see the other two quite in this.
Grays, stars, guest, food, past, slime, stars.
I think given that how long I have been outside in the heat, food is the thing that I am. Like, I came in here. This is all wonderful. I came in here hungry.
Love it. This stop sells a signature food, something normal with a special twist.
And this is me I'm just creating this, right?
Suspect the recipe was stolen from your family.
I'm gonna see if I can blow this up a little bit for our audience also too.
And normally, for what it's worth, everyone would take their cards and then you'd kind of do a circle around. So everyone gets a little bit of time to kind of like think through their answer.
Excellent. I think we had a little bit of a mic skip there. So the solid is, what is the unusual way it's made in full view of tourists? Or the liquid is, why do you suspect the recipe was stolen from your family, right?
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So I'm gonna pick the liquid because I'm not a coward. And if you're watching this later and you pick the solid, that's fine. Why do I suspect this recipe was stolen from my family? I'm gonna take this in a slightly literal route, though. I think the reason that I've been on the road for 2 days, and what I recognize back there is I was traveling with a brisket that I was marinating to take to a family reunion. My car broke down a couple days ago. Hopefully the cooler full of ice is going to keep that thing at temp. But I noticed a cooler outside that looked exactly like the cooler on the back of my broken down car. There were a couple of bumper stickers that I had slapped on there when I was in college. That you just don't see around. Like my favorite band, the Brown Noise, was like they I mean, I loved them, but they weren't well known outside of southern Texas, and so I cannot believe that cooler is any cooler than mine. And I'm pretty sure that they have stolen my family's famous brisket recipe. That was written on the inside of that, and the brisket that was inside of it.
Oh, the Brown Noise conspiracy.
The Brown Noise conspiracy.
Of course, Invasion Ground Zero would be a destination for this. So that is the discovery that you've made, and then you would get to roll dice. We've got five. Oh, God. I did it again. I rolled a perfect hand. Sorry. There we go.
Let's roll a worse hand for Tony.
Let's roll a worse hand. I don't know. We can imagine that it was a perfect hand as well. So in this case, we rolled 5, 5, 4. So we haven't made our grasp of what this place is and what's affecting us here. So we would not get to keip any of these dice.
I mean, I was obviously too focused on the brisket.
Yes.
So.
But let's say, for the sake of speed here, that you did roll a good hand. And so you've grasped the place, you've bended, and now you're breaking it. So you would just get a follow-up prompt here, which is the break prompt, and that is very simple. It is just how did a discovery help you break the stop's hold on you? So how did discovering that they've stolen your family's brisket recipe help you break the hold of Invasion Ground Zero?
Yeah. I think uh I think the like I recognize that the employee of the month here, Hank, um I think I recognize him
Oh, Hank
from
Starstorm.
college.
Oh,
Like he used to always talk about moving out here and making it big. And I think as I'm starting to like that brisket smells coming up, like it's low and slow, you got to cook it for some time, right? And so like I'm just starting to look around. Nothing really seems out of the ordinary. I'm like, I'm looking at like the cost to pilot a UFO and thinking like, I could I'm here when all of a sudden like I hear the brown noise, like their major track like play over the radio. So I look to like see who's around. I notice Hank behind the counter. And he used to always
of
talk about
course.
coming out here and starting Battlestar Brisket, like a
Oh,
combination UFO and and slow cooked Texas meats. And I realize, I think, I realize like this is who has done this to me.
yeah, perfect. So then it would go on. We'd move on turn to turn. You still would have rolls remaining. You can do up to 3 discoveries here. So I did roll a cost over on the side here,
Yeah, so
and
I
your
could be like,
sense
I've
right
got
now,
3 and 2.
yeah,
That's not that great. That is below
it's not
average.
that great. It's kind of mid.
And I could
Yeah,
decide if I
and
wanted to re-roll one or both of those, I'm guessing, right? Like
you have to roll both of
I'd
them.
have to roll both of them. So the
Yep,
other ones are
unless
locked in.
the exception is unless you've got a souvenir from a previous stop, and then you can use that souvenir in order to re-roll a single die of your choice.
Excellent. So
Um,
let's re-roll
but-
both of those though, because I think I can do
okay,
better.
so we'll do that through a discovery. I'm going to give you grays. How about
Yeah.
that? We'll do so. There are these light green cards that are, sorry, everything's reversed. Light green cards that are just overall. These are the cards that you use anywhere in the tourist hole, anything that's connected to the tourist hole, and then there are green cards that say the name of the thing, the specific place on there. So with grays, this is more specific to the site. Costumed characters of classic alien types offer their autographs. The solid prompt here is, why are you so sure there aren't humans in the costumes? Liquid is, what note does a gray alien leave you instead of their John Hancock?
Oh. Yeah, we'll take the liquid again.
You seem like a liquid dude for this game.
I mean, if we do it again, I'll take a solid. We'll see. I do actually really like the solid on this one though, as well. I think for the liquid one, and Chad, if you have thoughts on the solid, why don't you toss it? And why would you be
Oh,
sure,
there we go.
Chat, that there are not humans in these costumes? What are you seeing as you're walking around the hole? I think I would say, yeah. What note did they leave me? I think it's as they sign it, it is with like a weird, like the signature is a weird alien like script that seems like it would be hard for a human to master.
Oh.
But above that, there's the chorus from like a wistful chorus from the Brown Noise.
Whoa.
They've written 3 lines of and about the sun setting over the trees, over Enchanted Rock in South Texas.
Brown noise conspiracy. So then you would get to, you keep your hold, your break of the place. And oh wow, I'm rolling really good tonight, folks.
Yeah, I think I'll keep the 2 6s. I think the 2 6s feel good to keep in this situation. So I'll keep.
Yeah,
That's the sense I have now.
this is sometimes, live demos just hit.
Just pop off. Also, you've got those loaded die.
Yeah, you have, through getting your grasp and break, you have earned your right to exit through the gift shop. You would get to go to the gift shop, and then once everybody is complete with their turns, then we would uncover what the cost is. Is it going to be a 12? No, it wasn't. So you have more sense than the cost of the site, and you're able to leave. So you would just describe a souvenir that you're getting from the Invasion Ground Zero gift shop.
It is a pair of like alien antenna like headset, like it's like one of the little head things you put on.
Perfect.
But one side is a UFO and the other side is a perfectly smoked brisket.
Wow, the brown noise conspiracy. So yeah, then we would go through everyone. If people didn't get out, then they would describe a postcard that they send. So they would say what's on the front of the postcard, and then whatever short note they write on the back of it, and come up with new tourists. And you can see how easy it is to come up with the tourists. So it kind of just moves like that. And yeah, like as it goes on, right, like I would imagine that you might build more into this brown noise conspiracy as you're moving in, so the narrative can get bigger. It can just be little bottle episodes each time, and you can quit at any time, right? Like you can just, and people can fall off. People can go say like, hey, you know what, I haven't grabbed pizza yet, I'm gonna go grab a couple slices, I'm gonna be back for the next round though. That kind of thing. So it's meant to just kind of shift. It's a party game that's also a tabletop role play game.
And here's the thing, like it is just a thing you can just have the conversation around. But like here, like I love the vision of like you could have tables that are the different stops and people could just wander between them, and this could actually be like hey, like when you're at like when you're whatever table you're at, that is the stop you have stopped at this time around. What are you doing? You can make a physical map in space, and let people literally wander between the different stops as they choose, right? And if a stop gets kind of like worn out over time, or like people have all played it, you can rotate in a new one, right, in that spot and build on the previous legacy for what was there. I just think there's so much richness in that simple like play mechanic. And even though like we did great, like I've played enough dice games to know like yeah, there are a lot of times you're just never going to roll what you need, right? And so it's really great to see that. So we have that mode, right? We have the mode that is actually mechanized, but you have car mode, right? The mode that is just we don't need dice where we're going.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little about the decision to do that, because like I think that is one that, especially as we're talking about like the shape of water intent, right? Like that is one that feels like it is a more amorphous sack that we're pouring the water into, right? We're pulling back on some of that structure. Tell us about the decision to do that, but also a little bit about what the play experience has been like.
Yeah, and so I'm actually gonna like step back to what you were saying there about like setting up tables that have the unique locations and that kind of thing. And I think especially with Tourist Hole, I really like that idea of these sort of like the oral tradition of road trip games, of bar dice game, like even yeah, all of the different bar dice games, there's different rules, regional rules. You have to understand. Mao was a favorite game of mine growing up, and even though Mao is about adding more rules in, mysterious rules in, even the base rules shift, and so you kind of like pick up like it might be called something else in another region, that kind of thing. And that's kind of I mentioned that earlier, the sort of like mythos of this game is that it's both a real place that doesn't actually exist, or does it, as well as being a real game within this world that doesn't actually exist as well. And there's all these variations. I really like the idea that the outer bounds of the rules are not defined. That there's a lot of ways to play that I don't like. I understand what I'm trying to achieve and what I'm trying to communicate, and there's dozens of different ways that you could do that and still like have the experience. So there's that page where there are regional rules that we discovered of people who are already playing Tourist Hole. I don't know how they're doing it, but they've got special rules. And so I think coming up with your own rules on the outer bounds of this, your house rules, your rules with friends that you just prefer a little bit better for whatever the group is, that works. And I was thinking about that and thinking about playing I Spy in cars and things like that, and like different spelling games and word games that you might play on a long drive. And I was like, I think that there's something here that could this game and what it's exploring could tap into if I could free it from the dice. The dice are fun, the cards are fun, but maybe we free it from that altogether. And Wes Franks was out. We were at Hollywood Horror Nights around this time last year, and I was just talking through here's how Tourist Hole works. And we were standing in line for one of the haunted mazes, and I said, "Well, I'll tell you what. You want to play?" And we just played the game without dice. And we just said, we're going to go into the maze. We're going to pretend that the maze is real. We're each going to describe who we are going into the maze. And then when we get out, we'll just have a conversation of, did you survive or did you not? And if you survived, you had to take a condition. So you had to be injured or harmed in some way. If you died, simple as that. You just have to, and again, like this is just, it's basically the rules of bar mode as well, right? Of you just make up a new character. In the next maze, you've got a fresh character in there. And we had a blast. We did not have express tickets. And we were just like talking through our characters and coming up with new characters after each one. We'd have our own and we could pop in and out. So we would talk about games. We would talk about the Dodgers were in the World Series last year as well. So we talked a little bit of baseball. We talked a little bit this, that, and the other thing. And then we would just like swing into playing this game in the way that you play a road game, right? That like you are driving and you just kind of like pick it up and somebody be like, I spy with my little eye something furry. And that can happen at any time. Punch Bug is a game that's like that, right? Where you're just kind of like looking out the window and when you're inspired, you punch somebody. That is what it is.
Yeah, you're supposed to see certain things, but yeah. I mean,
yes, yeah.
If traffic's busy enough, they don't have to know whether that thing existed or not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But yeah, this is the same thing of like as you are it's great in haunted mazes, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, like as you are driving, you can either be, we all collect, or I don't know if we all do, I do, and I know Michael Van Vliet does, of grabbing weird brochures from when you're at a roadside hotel or motel, and there's those stands with all of the brochures for the different tourist traps, tourist attractions, whatever, dinner theaters. You pick those up and read through them and laugh at them. And so the idea is, yeah, you can just pick that stuff up and just say like, hey, okay, who are your tourists that are going to this place? Is it us? Is it somebody else? And then talk through it, imagine it. Everyone kind of like adds a little bit to the setting of what they imagine, and then just decide if you survived or not. And then if you stop there, then imagine that you are your character at some point experiencing that place as if it was a more real place, I guess.
I mean, the great thing about this is also it means we could be playing Tourist Hole right now. Like we could all be in one giant game of Tourist Hole because we can pick it up whenever we want to, keep on playing, and that's great. Like the fact, like that immediacy of play, like that moment of just being able to enter in, and like again, people don't even have to know the rules because you can bring them into that as just a let's have a conversation and imagine through it. Like that is tremendous, and I think is hard for a lot of games to play. Like again, it's one of the reasons I've been so excited about this game since you and Wes started telling me about it. Like it is doing something distinctively different, and I think it really showcases what makes you an amazing designer, both like I said, visually, but also just within the concepts that you have and the willingness to play around. And we were talking about this a little bit before things went on stream. That this doesn't have to be the final or ultimate form, and everything doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be enough to start playing. And I think that willingness to launch games out into play is such a huge part of what makes your design shine as well. So, do you have any final thoughts that you want to share before we pop off?
You know the idea of simulation theory, right?
Yes.
I think you're kind of touching on a tourist hole theory a little bit, which is that what if we are all in a game of tourist hole?
Yeah.
That is just reality.
I mean, I believe in the rules of Tourist Hole. Like I am always playing the game, and so and we have started a cult right now. So we're gonna meet on Wednesday afternoons, also too. So yeah, I mean, we could all be characters waiting or active within the Tourist Hole. The real Tourist Hole was inside us all along. You're not coming to PAX in a couple weeks. You're not coming to Metatopia. unfortunately. We will be at PAX and Metatopia. So if you are coming to either one of those, please come say I will have Tourist Hole available at both of those locations. But if you are not going to be there right now, Tourist Hole is on sale for $5 less over on the site. It's that big chunk. It ended up 100 and something pages. What are we at?
Just under 100.
Just under 100. Right around 100 pages. It's absolutely gorgeous. And again, it's going to come with all the digital files. So if you want to cut up your book, I support you. If you're like, I don't do that, then you can just use the digitals.
Oh, and that's the other fun thing is that there's essentially two sets of cards in every book. So you can, as I have done here, oh, interesting. What did I do here?
Let me make you big.
Anyway, here.
Hold
So
it
you
right
can
in front of your face. Right in front of your face.
Yeah, I got it. You can cut out the cards. You can cut out the cards. You still got a set of cards in the book, so that you always have that. And in some ways, the book looks better, as you can see. Like the art is designed so that it kind of peeks around the edge of the cards once you've started cutting out the book. So it's a better experience to just
what an amazing user experience.
Get it and play.
Yeah. If you were a backer, we are also going to be shipping these out next week between Metatopia and PAX Unplugged. So be headed your way soon if you backed over on Kickstarter already. But Mike, always great to talk, to hang out. But like again, as soon as we started doing this show, like I knew I was going to be excited about this episode. I'm really glad we were able to have you on. For folks who want to see a more extended form of play, we have an actual play coming up on the channel. Also, if you're one of our players in our player community, we're going to be casting for that also too. Quinn's going to be working on that over the next little bit. Right now, a couple things I'd love to tell you about. I don't know if I have this. Yeah, there we go. If you have not yet, if you like cool games that are doing amazing things like Tourist Hole, head over on to GameFound, ttrpg.link/ambition. We're be doing a 3-part actual play of Ambition, and it is, talk about cracking, man. There are some things in that game that are breaking my brain, and they are an absolute blast. If you haven't checked out Ambition yet, please do. Or you can go to our YouTube channel and check out the first 2 parts of the 3-part stream we have already done. We spend about 40 minutes at the end of the last session. That's my laundry. Wait, there you go. It's going to happen again in a second. Talking about how great it was. We don't have a good way to end this one yet. I would normally ask Mike to do it, but I know that buzzer's about to come right back. So I'm going to go ahead and take us off air. Mike, if people want to follow your work, where can they find you?
Clearkeep.us is the website, and I am on Blue Sky under Clearkeep as well. Feel free to pop into the +1 Discord, or I'm a frequent in the Gauntlet Discord as well, where I'm developing a retro sci-fi heist game that's based on the Brindlewood Bay and Between mechanics as part of their publication lineup,
which we will eventually talk about here also, I'm sure, because I'm also thrilled about it. And we will be back next month with another Procedure Play. Next week, we are here with Jeff Stormer for our next episode of Intrepid Merchants. We explore the happenings and the industry and business of tabletop role-playing games. We're going to talk about Jeff's 10 years in actual play work and how it's impacted him, the scene, and a couple cool things that we've found out that are happening also. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.